What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Resistance 4 news. In fact, I guess in the news, the Resistance 4 was canceled, but that it was pitched. It was like a real thing that could have happened, and I did not know this. This comes to a complete shock to me. I didn't watch this episode, of Colin's Sacred Symbols, but I saw obviously people were talking about it, and as soon as Colin, as soon as it was Resistance, I had to do it. So let's read over what he said, and we'll go into it. So the report comes from his 153rd episode of the Sacred Symbols podcast at the 2 hour and 3 minute mark. Moriarty notes that he was told the overload of post-apocalyptic games in the first-party grouping, Killzone Shadowfall, Horizon, Days Gone, Last of Us, which were all being developed or in pre-production at the time, was an issue that PlayStation was cognizant of during the PS3 era. The first three mainline Resistance games in the series had done well, ignore Burning Skies Please, and so another in the series was pitched by Insomniac. Remember, this was before Sony had bought the developer, so the studio had a little less clout over which projects it could make. Resistance 4 was pitched to PlayStation. This is his words. Resistance 4 was pitched to PlayStation, and they declined Resistance 4 because it sounded too similar to The Last of Us, and they didn't want the two games overlapping with each other. So Resistance was shut down at that point. Moriarty is a reliable source with friends who have worked at the studio and rarely speaks about the deep bowels of the industry unless he is saying something with absolute certainty. And that's very accurate. Hopefully this site, knows him enough where they're not going to trash talk him. I'm a big Colin Moriarty supporter or backer of him, just in his ability to do stuff and not be just basically kicked out of the gaming industry, which is what he was. But no, this is really interesting. So we've talked about Resistance, not on this channel mainly on the main channel, but I mean, this is a franchise that I love to death. Resistance 2 definitely changed some things, and well, here's the deal. I'll just cut straight to it. I always thought, I'm not saying Colin's wrong, because he's not, okay? I'm not an insider, it just was my opinion. And also what I definitely remember, and I remember him saying it as well, is that these games never sold well. Never. None of them. Resistance 1, 2, 3, none of them did well. And Resistance 3, Sony and Insomniac put a lot behind, marketing and getting people ready to play this game. And the game just flat out... Now, did it sell? Yeah, but did it sell, enough to, warrant more? No. And in fact, I believe there were even interviews back in the day with Insomniac workers, developers, that said, it was pretty disappointing how well the game was received. Everybody who played it loved it, but not a lot of people bought it. And I remember reading that. I remember hearing that. Maybe I'm just completely making that stuff up because, can that be true? I have to believe my heart of hearts I didn't make that up, because I've been saying that for years. I've thought that for years because I swear I read it and heard it from multiple people, multiple outlets, all that kind of stuff. But can that be true, as well as, they would still hear a pitch for Resistance 4? Because wouldn't they reject the pitch for Resistance 4, and the rejection would be, why they would reject it would be, your games don't sell. We have to stop Resistance because they just don't sell. That's what I would have imagined that the answer would have been, but I guess it was that there was too many post-apocalyptic games, which, you know what, is kind of annoying, because if you think about it, a lot of Sony games have gone, specifically recently, yes, they're all different, but they've gone a very similar route of quite a few of them being open world. Last of Us Part 2 even, now that's not an open world game, but it's more open than any there are sections in that game where you can literally go through multiple streets, multiple terrain, all this kind of stuff. There's a big kind of sandbox for you to explore in certain sections of The Last of Us Part 2. Days Gone. And Days Gone, by the way, Days Gone is pretty much The Last of Us, just slightly different, but that's an open world game. Horizon, that's an open world game. Ghost of Tsushima, that's an open world game. So, if anything, they have an open world game problem. You know what I mean? If there's anything that they are doing too much of, it's that they're doing all... Now, don't twist my words, okay? I like Days Gone quite a bit. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love Horizon Zero Dawn, okay? So I'm not saying anything about that. I'm so excited for Forbidden West. I'm not burnt out of those kind of games, at least not yet. And they are all different from each other. There's no doubt about it. Now, but at the same time, Resistance and Killzone... it was always my opinion that Resistance was always better. I respect Killzone quite a bit. I think I like Killzone more than maybe the average person, but I never thought Killzone should have been there, because Killzone was their leading, their pilot ship, right, for the first person shooters. It should have been Resistance, in my opinion. Resistance was always so much better. And now they didn't cross over too many times. Like, Killzone started first and all that stuff, but Resistance was so good. So, you know, I guess there's not too much more you can say about it, right? The only thing I would like to throw in and say is please continue it. So if Insomniac literally, now they ended it, like Resistance 3 ended where you could do more, but where you could also stop it. And I kind of appreciate that about it, where it's like, oh, okay, if you wanted to end it here, you could, but actually you could keep going. And I didn't actually expect that part. Like, I felt like you could have just ended it and called it a day, right? So if they, years ago, so again, like, they talk about Last of Us, Kills and all that stuff, so we're probably talking like, well, I believe Resistance 3 came out, 2011? So we're probably talking 2011, 2012, 2013. Somewhere in that range is where they pitched the idea. So it's been 10 years since they've done that, or close to 10 years since they pitched Resistance 4. Obviously, they're owned by them now. Obviously, you have Spider-Man, you have Ratchet & Clank, you have Sunset Overdrive, and then you have also Resistance kind of sitting in the back burner. I really do believe Resistance will come back in some way. I think you could do a remake of 1 through 3. It's been long enough specifically for 1 and even 2 in some regards. So I think you could do that, or just make a brand new game. I don't know how well it would sell, but again, if they were confident enough pitching it and Sony was at least willing to hear it out, and the reason they shot it down is just it's too similar to other stuff we're doing, not, oh, these games have never been successful for us, so immediately no. Well, then there's, I think, always a chance, like always a chance for it to happen, you know what I mean? So hopefully in the next couple of years, I don't know, I mean, Insomniac can only do so many things at once. They're probably the best studio, I'd argue, maybe even in the world, of handling more than one thing. They put out quality products and they do more than one at a time, which you can't say for pretty much any studio, I would say, out there, right? Either they only do one, or they tried it, they do like 1.5 games, and there's really not a lot of studios that do 2 or maybe even more that Insomniac does, 2 or maybe even more that does it as well, and as like the quality is as high as Insomniac. So can you stretch it to 3? Maybe, probably you shouldn't though, right? But if you could slide Resistance into there and say, well, do Spider-Man and then do Resistance, and then do Spider-Man again, and then do Ratchet and Clank, and if you want to throw Sly Cooper in there, all that kind of stuff, because of what we, what they've been teasing and all that kind of stuff, they could do that as well. So hopefully we get Resistance. I'm always on board for it, and as I've said before, like, you need to support it, or we need, like, I would do it as well, right? I gotta put my money where my mouth is. We would need to support it because, again, I really think sales were an issue. If sales weren't an issue, with how well it was always received, I feel like we would have gotten another one by now. So, we just have to, I guess, patiently wait. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, were you caught off guard by this? Do you think there'll ever be another Resistance game? All that kind of stuff, let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. I do a brand new video on this channel every single day. There may be more than one starting tomorrow, Summer Game Fest, a bunch of stuff, obviously E3 later on this week. So we'll probably have more than a video a day, and I hope to see you guys there.